Honorable, where's the beard? It's still there. I was blending with the shirt. I can't see it from there. You like it? Yes, it's not there. Yeah. What? Yes.
Mamá. Hi, Shaida. Shaida. Tumisani.
No.
So you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Honorable delegates, before we proceed, I would like to remind delegates of the rules relating to virtual and hybrid meetings and sittings, in particular sub-rule 21, 22, and 23 of Rule 103, which provide as follows. 1, the hybrid sitting constitutes a sitting of the National Council of Provinces. 2, delegates in the hybrid sitting enjoy the same powers and privileges that are applied in the sitting of the National Council of Provinces. 3, for purposes of the quorum, all delegates who are logged on to the virtual platform shall be considered present. 4, delegates must switch on their videos if they want to speak. 5, delegates should ensure that the microphone on their electronic devices are muted and must always remain muted unless they are permitted to speak. 6, all delegates in the chamber may connect to the virtual platform and must insert their cards to register on the chamber system. 7, delegates who are physically in the chamber must use the floor microphones. Then the last is that all delegates may participate in the discussion through the chat room. In addition, I would like to remind delegates that the interpretation facility is active. Permanent delegates, special delegates, and members of the executive on the virtual platform are requested to ensure that the interpretation facility on their electronic devices is properly activated to facilitate access to the interpretation services. Permanent delegates, special delegates, and members of the executive in the chamber should use the interpretation instrument on their desk to access the interpretation facilities. Honorable delegates, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all permanent delegates, MECs, and all special delegates and SALGA representatives in the House and in the virtual platform. I will now allow the opportunity to delegates to give notices of motion. Notices of motion. Delegates who wish to give notices of motion should use the raise hand function. Strictly 1.5 minutes per motion. Honorable Mamorohan.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. I hereby move on behalf of the African National Congress that the House in its next sitting debate advancing redress and transformation of a skilled, racialized economy to benefit Black industrialized companies to increase their chances of succeeding in an inclusive, dynamic, and prosperous economy where every entrepreneur, regardless of a background, thrives. I so move on, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Njandu.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. It's a notice of a motion. I hereby move on behalf of the African National Congress that the House in its next sitting debates expanding joint collective efforts to focus on strengthening early TB case detection through targeted testing initiatives aimed particularly amongst the vulnerable. I so move, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Next is Honorable Bartlett on the virtual platform.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry for not switching my video on, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I hereby move on behalf of the African National Congress that the House in its next sitting debates the review of the policy on minimum free basic water to further help with cushioning the poor. I so move, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Honorable Bartlett. I'll now allow an opportunity for delegates who wish to move motions without notice. Thank you. The first will be Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you, House Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move without notice that this council, notes with concern that on 6 December 2023, this House agreed to a motion recognizing and thanking the MEC of Roads and Transport in Mpumalanga for attending to the roads, namely R54, R36, and R536. Again notes that since this motion was delivered and passed, these roads have deteriorated to such an extent that every road user is putting his or her life at stake, as these roads are a death trap waiting to happen. Further notes that numerous complaints from road users have been received and that various letters in this regard have been forwarded to the MEC with no acknowledgement of receipt. Notes with concern that the R36 can no longer be utilized due to the state of the road, and the contractor is refusing to work as he has not been paid. The road users, and more especially heavy vehicle road users, are now utilizing the R540, adding to the deterioration of this road, which is a well-known tourist route. Acknowledges that the MEC must, as a matter of urgency, attend to these roads as promised on 6 December 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Next is Honorable Malika.
Thank you, House Chair. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council notes with utmost concern the mass escape of 69 undocumented foreigners from the Lindela Repatriation Center in Krugersdorp on Sunday, 17 March 2024. Further notes and welcome the decisive intervention that was taken by the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Dr. Aaron Mtswaledi, to immediately suspend the contract with Environments, which is responsible for guarding and managing the facility. Takes the opportunity to call on the minister to ensure that the investigation of the conduct of the company and its employees is expedited, and that decisive action and measures be taken to strengthen and secure the security of Lindela Repatriation Center. I so move.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Nana on the virtual platform.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyambi, and good afternoon, colleagues. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby move without notice that this council notes with concern the alarming collapse of the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality This collapse is perfectly encapsulated by the fact that NMB is now the most dangerous city in South Africa and the 9th most dangerous city in the world. Notes during the DA-led government in NMB, in an effort to curb gangsterism, we introduced the shot spotter in the northern areas and the Go Squad. These initiatives led to a safer northern areas and safer driving in and around the metro. Notes with concern that since NMB fell on the hands of the coalition of corruption led by the ANC, the murder rate has increased by a staggering 37% in the last year alone. Also notes with dismay the concerns expressed by the Minister of Finance over NMB's fruitless and wasteful expenditure that amounts to approximately 20 billion rands in June 2023. Lastly, welcome a probe into the NMB Mayor Gary van Niekerk fraud allegations. The people of NMB deserve a government that puts their interests first, not someone who has a dark cloud hanging over him. I so move.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion?
Yes.
There being an objection, the motion may not be proceeded with and become a notice of motion.
No,
No, Honorable. Honorable Nsube on the virtual platform.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. I move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that this August House note with joy the smooth processing of the appeals for NSFAS funding by students who could not meet the test for funding, believing that the success of this appeal should open doors of learning to many students, especially those in the missing middle. Thereof, congratulate the NSFAS administration for catering attitude and speedy processing of these appeals. I so move, Honorable House Chairperson.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to. Makwala?
That is a late intelligence, Makwala.
There being an objection, the motion may not be proceeded with and will become a notice of the motion. Honorable Mtetwa on the virtual platform. Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you. Yes, Chair. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairperson of the session. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council welcomes the order granted to the National Prosecuting Authority Asset Forfeit Unit, giving the unit a permission to seize assets worth around 18 million from illegal mining kingpin. Notes that the order was granted in Pretoria High Court to seize 16 bank accounts and 51 vehicles, 7 properties from several suspects, which are proceeded of unlawful activity of the syndicate dealing with gold in the Kutsongo area in Carltonville. Understand that the property are expected to be sold at a public auction with the proceeds going into the criminal asset recovering account. Also understand that the trial against the 9 accused who are facing various charges, including money laundering and racketeering, is set to start on the 24th of July, 2024 at the Pretoria High Court after it was transferred from the Opet Hazen Magistrate Court. We believe that this forfeit order are part of the part and parcels of the asset forfeit unit asset recovery strategy to claim the proceeds of criminal activity back to the state. We commend, Chair, the implementation by the law enforcement agents of the overall national anti-corruption strategy, which is aimed at strengthening and fighting against corruption and raise the level of crime such as illegal mining. I so move, Sir.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Khai.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. On behalf of the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that we welcome SANRAL's commitment to inject close to 202 billion rands into the Dr. A.B. Kuma local municipality in the Eastern Cape, where it seeks to implement its road maintenance projects over the next 3 years. Notes that the road agency seeks to implement 2 road infrastructure development projects in the municipality, which include the road improvement of the R61 National Road between All Saints to Bazia, as well as road improvement of the R61 National Road between Umango and NCOP. It also notes that the scope of the work of these projects will entail upgrading of roads, bridges, culverts, and improving road safety in the area. Understand that SANRAL, as part of assisting with the development in that area, has set aside a minimum of 30% of the project value to be subcontracted to SMMEs, and a minimum of 8% of the project value will be set aside for the local labor, and believe that this project will assist municipalities in performing their basic functions, such as road maintenance, amongst others, which will lead to the rapid improvement of the quality of life of the residents. Calls for government to prioritize more infrastructure investment to ensure that construction of projects is undertaken with the necessary urgency and is spread all over the country, so as to improve access to basic services and increase the overall efficiency and competitiveness of the economy. So move.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Nkosi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council notes that the world each year commemorates World TB Day to raise public awareness about the devastating health, social, and economic consequences of TB, and to step up efforts to end the global TB epidemic. Recalls that this year, the day is commemorated under the theme, Yes, You and I Can End TB. Also notes that South Africa is amongst the TB high-burden countries. Understands, however, that there has been a steady decline in the number of people diagnosed with TB each year since 2007, where the figure was about 644,000 compared to 280,000 in 2022. Believes that the $94 million funding will go a long way in bolstering South Africa's ongoing efforts to respond to TB in the next 5 years, and calls for the strengthening of collective counter-response to TB to focus on strengthening early case detection through targeted testing initiatives, particularly among the vulnerable. I so move, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Next is Honorable Ndongeni.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council welcomes the opening of the Department of Higher Education and Training funded Nelson Mandela University groundbreaking Science Center by the Minister of Higher Education and Training. Notes that the state-of-the-art Science Center is located on the Ocean Science Campus and represents Nelson Mandela University commitment to communicate, engage, in social justice-oriented education. Also notes that the heart of the center lies a 15-meter digital dome-shaped auditorium, a pioneering feature in South Africa education landscape. Understand that the center's role as an innovative hub, leverage immense technology for the foster interest and excellence in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics discipline. Believe that visitors, including school learners, will benefit a great deal treated in interactive exhibition and 3D shows, showing cases topic ranging from underwater life to space exploration. Also believe that Science Center will expose learners to a multiplicity of the careers in the science as the country looks into creating more pathways for young people to take this country into the future, and hope that the center will grow and inspire future scientists and innovators. That's contributing to South Africa's knowledge-based economy, as well as advancing science for society and nurturing a new generation of STEM enthusiasts. I so moved, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Next is Honorable Dango, Honorable Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council notes that the 25th of March marks the International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and the transatlantic slave trade, which is a day designated by the United Nations to honor the lives of those who died as a result of slavery and experienced the horrors of the barbaric transatlantic slave trade, and raise the awareness about the dangers of racism and prejudice. Further notes that millions of people were transported from Africa against their will to Central and North America in the 15th century up to the 19th century. Further calls on the UN to also designate a day for the slaves that were brought to the Western Cape. Acknowledges that the appalling tragedies of the mass deportation of slaves not only resulted in the senseless, hideous, and brutal death of millions of slaves from the African continent, but also became one of the worst, brutal, and vicious violations of human rights in the history of humankind, and believes that even though the slave trade was abolished many years ago, the horrific effects of slavery, particularly racial subjugation and economic bondage, is persisting in the economies of many African countries. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Mama.
Thank you, Honorable Baba. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that this council welcomes as a step in a good direction of the eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality's move to intensify its collaboration with the property owners to eradicate unsafe buildings within the inner city. And also notes that as part of the realization of this understanding, the municipality has established a new unit that is called the Problem Building Division, which is dedicated to tackling unsafe buildings. And also notes that problem buildings are defined as the illicit, abandoned, hijacked, structurally unsound, and unlawfully erected buildings. And also believes that these buildings heightened social issues such as homelessness, crime, and drugs, which are often found in such buildings. And also understands the divisions has already identified approximately 40 buildings within the city and has started the process to serve relevant notices. Also understands that it calls for property owners whose buildings have been deemed unsafe for occupation to contact it or face future closure and commends the cities of these bold moves and believes that it will go a long way in creating a vibrant inner city which is underpinned by well-managed buildings. I so move, Chairperson Baba.
Thank you, Mama. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Nchabeleng?
Thanks, Chairperson. I hereby move without notice on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council notes with utmost concern the brutal and senseless terrorist attack of over 133 innocent people at a rock concert in Moscow, Russia. Further notes that Russia has since arrested 11 people, including 4 suspected gunmen, for the rampage and senseless killing. Takes this opportunity to condemn in the strongest possible terms this odious and senseless attack, and joins the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, to convey its heartfelt condolences to the families of the dead and the entire nation of the Federation of Russia, and wishes those injured a speedy recovery. I so move.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. The last is Honorable Shaik.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I move on behalf of the African National Congress that the Council notes that the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa has sent a multi-party delegation in Geneva, Switzerland for the 148th Inter-Parliamentary Union Assembly, which started on Saturday the 23rd and will end on Wednesday the 27th of March 2024, under the overall theme, Parliamentary Diplomacy, Building Bridges for Peace and Understanding. Further notes that the delegation, which is led by the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Ms Sylvia Lucas, has made several inputs to advance South Africa's position in various standing committee meetings and the plenary assembly of the IPU, including tabling an emergency item to advocate for the immediate ceasefire and humanitarian support in the Gaza Strip, and acknowledges that South Africa's participation in the 148th IPU Assembly will bring a key role in strengthening South Africa's parliamentary diplomacy and national position on a number of issues confronting the global community, including putting in place measures to mitigate the unique risks posed by autonomous weapon systems, particularly to women, children, and marginalized communities. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? There being no objection, the motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable members, I now call upon the Chief Whip to read the motion as printed in the order paper. Honorable Acting Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I hereby move that the Council resolves that Rule 218, Sub-Rule 1, which provides inter alia that the consideration of a bill may not commence before at least 3 working days have lapsed since the committee's report was tabled, be suspended for the purposes of consideration of Revenue Laws Amendment Bill, Bill 39B/2023. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Kosi. We'll now proceed to voting on the motion. I shall put the question, and the question is that the motion be agreed to. Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of vote in terms of Rule 86 if they so wish, maximum 3 minutes. Honorable President.
Bob North, thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to, this is just a declaration to ask about the process here. So Rule 218 of our of our rule states that the council may not consider or pass a bill before at least 3 working days have elapsed since the committee report was tabled. So, A, unless it's a bill before the House in terms of Joint Rule 216, or B, an urgent bill before the House. Could we perhaps get the reason why this amendment is now requested from this August House? Thank you very much.
The process we are involved in is exactly addressing the question you are raising. We subjected to this process in terms of the rules of the National Council of Provinces. And if in terms of the process we fail, then we're not going to proceed. But if we're going to get the number in terms of the very same rules, then we're going to have it passed because that's the motion that has been moved by the Speaker of the House. So it's in line with our rules, Honorable Pardon Host. Let's now go straight. We'll now proceed to voting. I shall allow, I'll call upon provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegates must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape for Maslan.
Thank you. Free State?
Free State supports, Chairperson.
Thank you. Gauteng?
Gauteng in support, Chairperson.
Thank you. KwaZulu Natal?
KwaZulu Natal, yes, Kaslar.
Thank you. Limpopo?
Limpopo vote in favor, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga support.
Thank you. Northern Cape?
Northern Cape
No,
support, Chair.
vote in favor, Chair.
Thank you. Northwest?
Bokoni Bophirima ba e amogela modulasetulo.
Thank you. Western Cape?
Western Cape will abstain. Thank you very much for that good reason, Chair.
Thank you. 8 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable delegates will now proceed in the first order. Consideration of the report of the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament on the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa 2023-2024 mid-year performance dated 5 March 2024. I'll now call upon Honorable DG Mahlangu, co-chairperson of the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament, to present the committee's report. Honorable Mahlangu, on the virtual platform.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair, for the opportunity, the chairperson and the deputy chairperson in the absentia, House Chairperson Mengwenya, Chief Whip, special delegates and honorable members. Honorable House Chairperson, I have pleasure to present the report of the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament, having considered the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa's 2023-24 mid-year performance report. Parliament has as its vision to be an activist and responsive people's parliament that improves the quality of the South Africans and ensures enduring equality in our society. Its mission is to represent the people and to ensure government by the people in fulfilling its constitutional functions of passing laws and overseeing executive action. To this end, Parliament conducts its business adopting the values of openness, responsiveness, accountability, teamwork, professionalism, and integrity. Honorable House Chair, Parliament has identified only 2 strategic priorities for the 6th Parliament, which are to strengthen oversight and to enhance public involvement in Parliament's activities. In order to achieve these outcomes, the 6th Parliament in terms of improving its performance, it has planned to improve committee oversight work in relation to the budget cycle, allowing more time in the parliamentary program for oversight activities and encouraging committees to undertake joint oversight activities, allocate more time to committee oversight activities, and the possibility of holding joint briefings and meetings. Parliament will also improve the effectiveness of public hearings through greater public participation by expanding public education, better dissemination of information, effective use of broadcasting, technology and social media, the use of more official languages, and encouraging committees to undertake joint public hearings. Honorable House Chairperson, the new macro framework for the 7th Parliament has been designed to ensure that Parliament is transformative, responsive, and collaborative through effective stakeholders engagement. Parliamentary administration will be realizing a series of improvements to its reporting framework to align it to the new macro framework, which focuses on Parliament's outcome and impact. The new reporting framework will focus on Parliament's framework, transformative framework, which it will measure the extent to which Parliament impacts the daily lives of people in South Africa. The impact will be measured through the NDP impact indicators, which are related to poverty alleviation, inequality reduction, and inequality eradication. Honorable Chairperson, as already said, the report has been 80 seats and members will go through it. I will just browse through the observations and recommendations from the committee. House Chairperson, the committee shared Parliament's concerns about the absence of an effective institutional broadcasting strategy. Of particular concern is the broadcasting of parliamentary activities on pay-to-view and data-dependent platforms, which, under the current economic conditions, makes it impossible for a significant section of the population to have access to how they were represented in Parliament and the business of Parliament in general. The committee notes that the finalization of the institutional broadcasting strategy was dependent on the finalization of the South African Broadcasting Corporation bill. Recommended that once that law has been finalized, the broadcasting strategy should be completed as a matter of urgency. The strategy should include provision for free access to televised and social media content. Honorable House Chair, the committee notes the lower than expected performance in respect of public participation, which was central to Parliament's activities. Thus, the committee recommends that progress in respect of public participation related indicators be monitored closely and that remedies for the slow progress be implemented immediately. Shortcomings in Parliament's management of public participation must be addressed by the time the 7th Parliament commences. Honorable Chairperson, the constituency office are citizens' caused immediate point of access to Parliament and public representation. The committee notes the delay, the completion of the benchmarking of the support constituency office required to operate effectively. Therefore, the committee recommends the benchmarking exercise to be completed as a matter of urgency and before the 7th Parliament. That is impossible So the recommendation should talk to the 7th Parliament. Constituency offices must be supported to ensure that they operate effectively as the link between citizens and Parliament, and must be adequately funded. In addition, Honorable House Chair, constituency offices must be equipped to account for the funds allocated to them in terms of the Political Party Funding Act number 6 of 2018. In conclusion, Chair, the committee notes interventions underway to professionalize the parliamentary service, but remains concerned about the lack of progress in respect of the organizational realignment project. Therefore, the committee recommends that the institution reports on progress in respect of organizational realignment projects, specifically the reasons for the long delay and how this will be addressed. Every effort should be made to fast-track the process to ensure that the 7th Parliament is well supported. Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair, and let me thank honorable members and further request the House to adopt this report and recommend that the Executive Authority should support the Committee on the 7th Parliament with a response within 30 days of the adoption of this report, meaning in the 7th Parliament. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson Giatogos.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlangu. Honorable delegates, I now put the question. The question is that the report be agreed to. Before proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of vote in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question, and I now call upon the provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegation must indicate whether they vote in favor, abstain, or against. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape, here, my chair.
Thank you. Free State?
Free State vote in favor, Chair.
Gauteng?
Gauteng in favor, Chair.
KwaZulu Natal?
KwaZulu Natal, sihlalo umbiko.
Limpopo?
Popo in favor, Chairperson.
Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga in favor.
Northern Cape?
Northern Cape in favor, Chair.
Northwest?
Northwest in favor, Chair.
Western Cape?
Western Cape will support, Chair.
Thank you. Voting is now closed. 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Rule 65 of the Constitution. Honorable delegates, we now proceed to the second order, consideration of the report of the Joint Standing Committee of the Financial Management of Parliament on the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa's 2023-24 third quarter report dated 5 March 2024. I'll now call upon Honorable D.G. Mahlangu, co-chairperson of the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament, to present the committee's report. Honorable D.G. Mahlangu.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. I'm once more honored to present the report of the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament, and having considered performance of Parliament of the Republic of South Africa in the third quarter of 2023-24 financial year. Honorable members and House Chair, the third quarter report tracked 31 indicators, of which 3 were related to the parliamentary program. 9 were associated with member satisfaction, and 19 related to transformational target. For operational excellence of communication and brand positioning in 2023-24, Parliament planned to develop an institutional strategy to improve public trust. In quarter 3, the target was to consult key stakeholders on recommendations to improve public trust, and the target was achieved. Honorable House Chairperson, Parliament intends to implement a broadcasting strategy for the 7th Parliament in 2023-24 is indicated in the immediate term. Although the first and second quarter targets could not be achieved, the third quarter target was achieved. The formulation of a legislative framework facilitating free-to-air broadcast service for Parliament, including licensing provisions under the ICASA, has been developed and submitted for processing and approval. Additionally, Honorable House Chairperson and members, a thorough broadcast strategy for the 7th Parliament has been drafted and presented for approval. An external team of broadcasting talent comprising technical, managerial, and on-air expertise was being assembled. This external team will collaborate with Parliament to formulate an implementation plan for the 7th Parliament broadcasting strategy. A service provider has been appointed to translate the strategy into an actionable implementation plan. Honorable Chairperson, for the operational excellence on research project in 2023-24 financial year, Parliament intended to implement the plan for restoring the building affected by the incident of fire, as we all know, in 2022. The institution reported no information was provided in respect of progress made towards the target to execute the restoration plan according to the milestone set out in it. In the presentation made by this committee, however, Parliament reported that 155 offices were completed and on 4th floor and 5th floor, 90 Plain Street, the same as it was reported in the second quarter. Rubble removal, asset recovery, and all the assembly building temporary roof completed, the same progress as reported in the second quarter. So the stage 2 concept and viability completed. Stage 3 delayed, designed at 80%, at 80%. Heritage application process at 60%, and pre-qualification of contractors of the old assembly building and National Assembly building completed. According to the information presented, the underperformance in the third quarter was due to the gathering of user requirement and engagement on design concept at stage 2, taking longer than planned, and delays in the South African Heritage Resource Agency application for stage 3. The underperformance will be remedied by consultants putting in extra time to finalize the detailed design and parallel engagement on heritage matters. Honorable Chairperson, allow me to go to focus now on the committee's concerns and the recommendations. The committee notes with concern continued delays in the review of parliamentary constituency offices. These offices were citizens' most immediate point of access to Parliament and public representative, and failure to capacitate them adequately interferes with the citizens' ability to access Parliament and participate in its business. The committee notes with concern the underperformance in respect of various targets, underperformance under Program 2, pardon me. The concern is the underperformance related to the oversight priority model, the committee planning framework, the impact assessment framework, and the oversight partnership framework. These interventions will be key elements in the support provided to the oversight work of the 7th Parliament. The lack of progress may also delay interventions and improvement that could result in more efficient spending of funds used on oversight and public participation activities. The committee should be provided with a delayed report on what has caused the delays in respect of review of the PCOs. Honorable House Chairperson and members, the restoration project underperformed. The performance in respect of the restoration project, as well as the inconsistent information reported in the on the table in the third quarter report, and presentation of on the third quarter performance are noted with concern by the committee. Furthermore, Honorable Chairperson, the concern is that the remedies proposed in order to address the delays are not specific. The committee should be provided with the monthly reports detailing any delays experienced as far as meeting the oversight-related targets, the causes and impact, proposed remedies, including the monitoring and supporting provided to the teams responsible for delivery. The committee further recommends that remedies to address underperformance be detailed and specific to the challenges should be identified. In addition, Honorable Chair and honorable members, the committee should be provided with a report on how physical sittings of the 7th Parliament will be accommodated. Honorable Chairperson, as I conclude, the committee notes the disciplinary processes instituted in 12 matters in the third quarter. It is also noted that none of the matters have been finalized by the time of the adoption of this report. The committee recommends the speedy resolution of the disciplinary processes in respect of the 12 matters reported above. Those cases of the officials who are on suspension with the full benefits, in particular, should be resolved with the necessary agency while still ensuring adherence to the applicable legal prescripts. Honorable House Chair, the committee notes with concern the long delays in filling funded posts, particularly those at senior management level. The most concerning
as you conclude, Honorable Chair,
is the detrimental impact these delays may have on the functioning of Parliament. The committee recommends that the filling of critical and funded vacancies be implemented during the start of the 7th Parliament. Allow me to, Chairperson, in closing, to thank members and the support staff as we've been processing all these reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable DG Mahlangu. Honorable delegates, I now put the question. The question is that the report be adopted. Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of votes in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish. We shall now proceed to voting on the question, and I'll now call upon the provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegation must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape, iyavuma, Chair.
Thank you. Free State?
Free State support, Chair.
Thank you. Gauteng?
Gauteng supports, Chair.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal?
KwaZulu-Natal iyaweseka sihlalo.
Thank you. Limpopo?
Limpopo support, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga support the report.
Thank you. Northern Cape?
Northern Cape, reporter.
Thank you. Northwest?
Bokoni bophirima bo amogela report modulasetulo.
Thank you. Western Cape.
Western Cape support.
Thank you. Voting is now closed. 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable delegates will now proceed to the third order, consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Land Reform, Environment, Mineral Resources and Energy. Ratification of the Amendment Convention on the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, ITPGRFA, table in terms of section 231, subsection 2 of the Constitution. I'll now call upon Honorable T.C. Modise, Chairperson of the Select Committee on Land Reform, Environment, Mineral Resources and Energy, to present the committee report. Honorable Modise.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, House Chairperson. Let me greet my colleagues and all people that are listening to these reports. Honorable Chairperson, let me start by saying the Select Committee on Land Reform, Environment, Mineral and Energy, having considered the request for approval by Parliament on the ratification on the Amendment Convention on the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resource, Food and Agriculture, tabled in terms of section 231, subsection 2 of the Constitution, 1996, and the explanatory memorandum attached thereof refer to it on the 1st of February 2024, was briefed by the department on the 27th of February 2024. The committee thanked the department
Honorable members, please, let's have order. Can continue. We are protected, Honorable Modise.
The committee thanked the department for the presentation on the agreement and requested that the department clarify the committee why South Africa waited for such an extended period before ratifying the treaty. The department responded that the delay in becoming signatories was to assess which other country were part to the treaty, and what will the opinion of the world towards the treaty, how of the treaty will benefit South Africa, and what are the potential shortfalls of the treaty where they becoming signatories to it. The department assured the committee that the extensive consultation took place and the commercial small-scale farmers were consulted. The farmers were also included in the implementation process by the treaty. The committee required whether a similar instrument exists for the protection of animal genetic resource, and the response was, globally, there is no, and the South Africa, together with other countries, consulting each other on the global plan of action for securing animal genetic resource, which could potentially lead to an international agreement such as the one serving before the committee. The committee, after deliberating the matter, recommended the council in terms of section 231, subsection 2 of the Constitution, 1996, approve this agreement.
Thank you very much, Honorable Modise. Thank you. Delegates, I now put the question. The question is that the report be adopted Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of vote in terms of Rule 86 if they so wish. We shall now proceed to voting on the question, and I'll now call upon the provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegation must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. Eastern Cape?
Eastern Cape here for my chair.
Thank you. Free State?
Free State vote in favor, Chair.
Thank you. Gauteng?
Gauteng in favor, Chair.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal?
KwaZulu-Natal uyaseka umbiko sihlalo.
Thank you. Limpopo?
Limpopo in favor, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga support the report.
Thank you. Northern Cape?
Northern Cape support the report, House Chair.
Thank you. Northwest?
Bokoni bophirima ba ya mogela modulasetulo.
Thank you. Western Cape?
Eastern Cape support.
Thank you. Voting is now closed. 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable delegates, we will now proceed to the 4th order, consideration of the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill and report of the Select Committee on Security and Justice. I'll now call upon Honorable Shaik, Chairperson of the Select Committee on Security and Justice, to present the committee report. Honorable Shaik.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to all honorable members. Honorable Chairperson, the Constitutional Court, in its judgment in the New Nation Movement, NPC and others, versus President of the Republic of South Africa and others, declared the Electoral Act number 73 of 1998 unconstitutional to the extent that it requires that adult citizens may be elected to the National Assembly and provincial legislatures only through their membership of political parties. Parliament enacted the Electoral Amendment Act number 1 of 2023 to provide that adult citizens may contest elections for the National Assembly and provincial legislatures as independent candidates. As a result of the Electoral Amendment Act that made it possible for independent candidates to contest elections of the NA and provincial legislatures, required consequential amendments to 5 pieces of legislation which the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill addresses. The Electoral Matters Amendment Bill 2023 makes consequential amendments to the Political Party Funding Act number 6 of 2018, the Electoral Act number 73 of 1998, the Electoral Commission Act number 51 of 1996, the Electoral Communications and Transactions Act number 36 of 2005, and the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act number 10 of 2009. The Electoral Matters Amendment Bill seeks to amend the Electoral Act 1998, the Electoral Commission Act 1996, the Electoral Communications Act 2005, and the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act 2009, so as to make consequential amendments resulting from the introduction of independent candidates to contest elections of the National Assembly and provincial legislatures. With regard to the Political Party Funding Act 2018, amongst the amendments is to provide for the regulation of private and public funding of independent candidates and independent representatives and matters incidental thereto, to preclude the Electoral Commission from accepting donations to the Multi-Party and Independent Democracy Fund, which it has reason to believe is the proceeds of crime, to empower the Commission to invest money in the funds in any bank registered in terms of the Banks Act 1990, to amend the powers of the President to make regulations on certain matters, including in respect of the upper limit of donations and disclosure of limits for donations, to amend Schedule 2 in respect of the formula for the allocation of money in the funds on a proportional and equitable basis in line with Section 236 of the Constitution. Honorable Chairperson, the National Assembly on the 7th of December 2023 referred the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill to the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. Given the closeness to the end of the term of the 6th Parliament, demanded that the committee adopt a more practical process to consider the bill by following due process. The Select Committee on Security and Justice and the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs consulted Parliamentary Legal Services on the joint processing of the bill and conferral process. The committees jointly receive a briefing by the Department of Home Affairs on the bill and jointly advertise the bill for public comment from the 14th of December 2023 to the 26th of January 2024. 13 public submissions were received, of which 10 submissions were substantive. On the 6th of February 2024, the committees jointly conducted a virtual public hearing, and on the 9th of February, the committees jointly received responses to the written and oral submissions from the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, the Department of Home Affairs, the Independent Electoral Commission, and Parliamentary Legal Services. Furthermore, Honourable Chair, in the case of a Section 75 bill, Parliament has no obligation to consult with provinces, as no mandates are required from provinces. The Select Committee was, however, advised to request provincial responses from provincial legislatures, as the bill would have consequential amendments for the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. The committee requested comment from the provinces and received 2 responses, one from KwaZulu-Natal and the other from the Limpopo legislature. Both legislatures indicated that they had no objection to the amendments, confirming that the amendments were technical and crucial to accommodate independent candidates. Honourable Chairperson, the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill was referred to the Select Committee on Security and Justice on the 12th of March 2024. The committee received a briefing from the Content Advisor and Parliamentary Legal Services on the 13th of March 2024. The committee deliberated on the bill on the 15th of March 2024 and concluded its deliberations on the bill on the 19th of March 2024. In the committee deliberation, the committee considered the public submissions on the bill and the amendments that were effected by the Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs. The Department of Home Affairs and Parliamentary Legal Services responded to matters raised by committee members. Much of the deliberation was on Clause 24 of the bill, which deals with the amendment to Schedule 2 of the Political Party Funding Act 2018, specifically the amendment to the formula by which money in the funds is allocated to represented political parties and independent representatives on a proportional and equitable basis, and the amendment to Regulations 7 and 9 of Schedule 2 of the Political Party Funding Act, that is the upper limit donations and the disclosure threshold for donations. In relation to Clause 29, the following key issues were discussed in detail by the committee. Substantive and material changes and their bearing on further public participation. It was clear that to the committee that the amendments were not material but were consequential in nature, and therefore the bill did not require further public participation. The formula to calculate the allocation from the fund, that is the 90-10 split, the committee considered the fact that the formula satisfies proportional and equitable distribution in terms of the requirement of Section 236 of the Constitution, which states that to enhance multi-party democracy, national legislation must provide for the funding of political parties participating in national and provincial legislatures on an equitable and proportional basis. The removal of the amounts on donation threshold and upper limits to regulations, and Clause 27 of the Electoral Matters Amendment provides that the President, acting on the resolution of the National Assembly, may make regulations, requires these regulations should be ready as soon as the bill was enacted to prevent confusion on donations prior to the pending elections. The committee was assured that the department would gazette the regulations as soon as the bill is assented to. Furthermore, Parliamentary Legal Services advised the Speaker on the need for the urgent consideration of a resolution by the Assembly. The Speaker would ensure that the matter is expedited in the National Assembly. Honourable Chairperson, the committee was satisfied that the bill amends the Political Party Funding Act of 2018 to provide for the regulation of the private and public funding of independent candidates and independent representatives. Also, that the bill seeks to align to various pieces of legislation with the Electoral Amendment Act of 2023 and enables independent candidates to contest elections for seats in the National Assembly and provincial legislatures. The committee was satisfied with the amendment to Schedule 2 in respect of the formula for the allocation of money in the funds on a proportional and equitable basis in respect of the upper limit of donations and the disclosure limit for donations. Indeed, the allocation of funds complies with Section 236 of the Constitution and provides for the equitable and proportional distribution of funds. Further, the committee has satisfied itself that the regulations will be dealt with by the speedy adoption of a resolution in the National Assembly. This resolution further enhances the National Assembly's role in respect of the appropriate measures of accountability. The regulations will be drafted with haste and gazetted as soon as the President assents to this bill. The committee on the 20th of March 2024 proceeded to consider and adopt the bill as referred without proposed amendments. The committee further adopted the report on the bill on the 20th of March 2024. On which we are pleased that the 2024 national and provincial elections signifies the birth of a new era in our democracy. While previously only political parties could contest elections, now independent candidates may contest. Honorable Chairperson, the Select Committee on Security and Justice, having considered the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill B42B 2023, referred to the committee on the 12th of November 2024 and classified by the JTM as a Section 75 bill, recommends that the Council pass the bill without amendments. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Shaik. Thank you, Honorable Delegates. Honorable Delegates, before we proceed to voting, I shall allow political parties an opportunity to make their declaration of vote in terms of Rule 78 if they so wish. Honorable Makwala will be the first one.
Greetings, Chairperson. Greetings to the members in the House. The Economic Freedom Fighters supports the Electoral Matters Amendment Bill. The amendment seeks to align the Political Funding Act, the Electoral Commission Act, and the Electoral Act, and the Communication Act with the new reality of the existence of independent candidates. As the ANC nears its slow, painful death, faces an absolute rejection in the 29th of May election by the people of South Africa. One of the consequences of the decline of the ANC is the emergence of numerous political parties and independent candidates like MK this morning. We have noted the role of certain rich families such as Oppenheimer's. I'm not just providing funding, but in a creation of new political parties in South Africa. Contrary to Section 12, subsection H of the Political Party Funding Act, we believe that all new political parties and independent candidates must declare their funding to the IEC even before they are represented in Parliament and legislatures. The IEC should be able to audit their books and check their funding. Check if their funding does not come from illegitimate sources or criminal activities. By only imposing the obligation to report their funding only when they are now represented in Parliament and legislation will be too late in our view, because they would have utilized the money from criminal processes to campaign and get seats in our Parliament and legislation. I thank you. Look very beautiful.
Thank you, Honorable Makwala. On behalf of the EFF, on behalf of Freedom Front Plus, is Honorable Dutoy.
Agbare voorsitter, die skyn word gewek dat onafhanklike kandidaate wat nie aan partybeleid, organisatoriese voorskrifte of enige ander gesagsliggaam buiten hulself in 'n parlementêre eed onderworpe is nie, mag deel in befondsing wat grondwetlik aan politieke partye wat aan wetgewers deelneem, verdeel moet word. The ANC is trying to use this bill to force the proverbial constitutional knife to cut a larger piece of the cake for themselves while giving the independent candidates only a whiff and depriving opposition parties from them almost fair share. Hierdie is slegs 'n voertuig wat die ANC onder andere gebruik om onregmatig homself te kan befonds en nie noodwendig in die belang van demokrasie en die kiesers van Suid-Afrika op te tree nie. By approving this bill today, the ANC will not yet open another door for legal battles in the Constitutional Court, as with the NHI and the expropriation bill, and this to the taxpayers' expense. Chair, if the ANC wants favour with the independent candidates by supporting and driving a seemingly constitutionally sound bill, that in reality is a vehicle to fund the ANC and degenerate an already flawed democratic system in South Africa. the Freedom Front Plus cannot support this bill.
Thank you, Honorable Troy. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, now we'll have Honorable Badenhorst.
Honorable Chair, I want to state on record that even though some opposition parties will be negatively affected by the allocation of party funds, except for the Inkatha Freedom Party that supported our objections during one select committee deliberation session, none of the other opposition parties objected to this or fought to have this changed in any of the committee meetings. I'm specifically referring to clause 29, which increases the proportionality of the allocation from 66.6% to 90% and decreases the equitable share allocation from 33% to 10%. Honorable Chair, Section 236 of the Constitution provides that, and I'm going to quote, national legislation must provide for the funding of political parties participating in national and provincial legislatures on an equitable and proportional basis, close quotes. This proposed clause goes against the tenets of the Constitution, and it is no surprise that the ANC stands to benefit most from this. With an extra 50 million rand going to the ANC in the next year alone, while most opposition parties' income will be drastically reduced. The DA maintains that the current funding model should remain and that a proper investigation is done into party funding before the laws are amended. The Democratic Alliance does not support this bill. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Badenhorst. Honorable Totovu will do it on behalf of the ANC. Honorable Totovu.
Honorable Chairperson, the point of departure is that the Electoral Amendments Bill is a consequential amendment emanating from the amendment of the Electoral Act. Therefore, the bill seeks to amend the Political Party Funding Act of 2018, also to align various pieces of legislation with the Electoral Amendment Act of 2023, which enables independent candidates to contest elections for seats in the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures. The Constitution of the Republic provides that to enhance the multi-party democracy, national legislation must provide for the funding of political parties participating in national and provincial legislatures on an equitable and proportional basis. It is important to note, therefore, that the Constitution doesn't prescribe a formula to be adopted to ensure that funding of political parties is done in a proportional and equitable manner. The Constitution left that responsibility to the legislative arm of the state, which we are doing this afternoon. We are convinced as the ANC that scientifically, the 90-10 formula passes the test of proportionality and equitability in the allocation of funds to political parties. Contrary to the lie that is peddled here this afternoon and elsewhere, to repeatedly indicate that this will benefit the ANC only, the truth is that all parties, including the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, the EFF, and everybody else, will benefit proportionally from the formula as provided for in this particular bill. Again, that all parties will benefit equitably from the 90-10 formula. And my last point, Chair, that I want to make is that regulation for threshold by the President will ensure that matters relating to inflation, the cost of running a political party, including cost of elections, will be considered by the President in outlining the threshold of the regulation. Now, all these parties, they claim that the ANC support is going down. Now, let them win the elections so that they get the high percentage in order to address the deficiencies that they claim that it is. It is not a deficiency. Proportionality as well as equitability is something that this particular legislation is proposing, and this is what we are saying as the ANC. Let us go and fight on the 29th of May. Let us not use other platforms and waffle here and talk things that are not there, Chair. We are ready for them. We are ready, and we think that this will go a long way in terms of helping us to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Toto. Order members will now allow 1 minute to delegates who are outside the House and the virtual platform to join the House. 1 minute. Thank you. We'll now proceed to the voting on the question, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. Delegates who vote in favor should please raise their hand. Please keep your hand raised. Thank you. The count is complete. The host will lower all hands to prepare for the next vote. Delegates who vote against should please raise their hands. Please keep your hands raised. Thank you. The count is complete. The host will lower all hands to prepare for the next vote. Delegates who abstain should please raise their hands. The count is completed. The host will lower all hands. Voting is now closed. The table will submit the results. Thank you. The results are as follows. In favor, 32. Against, 12. No abstention. The bill is agreed to in terms of Section 75 of the Constitution. Thank you. Order. Before we proceed to the 5th and 6th order, I'll invite Mama Ngwenya to come and take over.
Thanks very much, honorable members. Honorable members, Yakuga. I would like now, honorable members, to go to call Honorable Hai, the chairperson of the Select Committee on Trade and Industry, Economic development, small business development, tourism, employment and labor to present the committee report. Honorable High.
Thank you very much, and greetings to you, Honorable Timande. The company's second amendment bill was passed by the National Assembly and referred to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence on the 30th November 2023. The committee received a briefing on the bill from the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition on the 5th December 2023. The purpose of the bill or the purpose of the company's second amendment bill is to amend Companies Act of 2008 so as to amend the term bars in respect of proceedings to recover any loss and damages or cause for which a person may be held liable in terms of Section 77 of the Companies Act. Further, the bill aims to amend the term bar for the bringing of an application to declare a person delinquent in terms of Section 162, subsection 2 and subsection 3 of the Companies Act, and to provide for matters connected therewith. The process followed. The committee invited public comments through advertisement in newspapers, social media, and the website of Parliament and Government. The closing date for written submission was on the 29th January 2024. The advertisement was published in all 11 official languages. The committee received submission on the bill from the following stakeholders: the Institute for Directors South Africa and King Committee, Law Society of South Africa, and the Western Cape Government. The committee held public hearings on the 21st of February 2024 and received responses from the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition on the 27th February 2024. This was followed by responses from the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition on the 5th and 12th March 2024 on the submission received. On the 12th March 2024, the committee deliberated on the bill, and the outcome of the committee's consideration of the bill was as follows. 5 members of the African National Congress voted in support of the bill. 2 members of the Democratic Alliance voted against the bill. So the bill, Honorable House Chair, was agreed without any amendments. Coming to the next order, which is the company's amendment bill, which is the main bill. This bill was passed by the National Assembly and referred to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence on the 30th of November 2023. The committee received a briefing on the bill from the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition on the 5th of December 2023. The purpose of the Companies Amendment Bill is to amend Companies Act of 2008 so as to insert certain definitions and amend definition of securities to clarify when a notice of amendment of a memorandum of incorporation takes effect, and to provide for the Commission to publish, as prescribed, the notice of the location of companies' records. Further, the purpose is to differentiate where the right to gain access to companies' records may be limited, to provide for the preparation, presentation, and voting on companies' remuneration policy and directors' remuneration report, to provide for the filing of a copy of the annual financial statement, and to empower the court to validate the irregular creation and the allotment financial statement, and to empower the court to validate the irregular creation and the allotment of issues of shares. In addition, it is to clarify that shares which are not fully paid are to be transferred to a stakeholder and dealt with in terms of a stakeholder agreement, to exclude subsidiary companies from the requirements relating to financial assistance, to provide for instances where special resolution is required for the acquisition by a company of its own shares, to provide for a social and ethics committee report and remuneration report to also be presented at an annual general meeting of a public company, and to provide for the circumstances under which a private company will be a regulated company. Further, the purpose is geared to provide for publication of the application for exemption from the requirement to appoint social and ethics committee, to deal with the composition of the social and ethics committee, to provide for their preparation by social ethics committee and social ethics committee report as prescribed. A committee report to be presented at the annual general meeting or shareholders meeting. I'm just looking for a time. I don't see it here, so I don't see the time, so I don't know how far am I. In addition, the envisaged act is crafted to extend the definition of employee share scheme to include situations where there are purchases of shares of a company, to provide for the determination by the minister in consultation with the panel of financial threshold for the purposes of identifying the private companies to which Part B and C of Chapter 5 of the Act apply, to provide for the post-commencement finance for unpaid amounts that are due to the landlord during business rescue proceedings, and to provide for the commission to substitute a contested name of a company under certain circumstances. Finally, the purpose is crafted to provide for mediation, conciliation, and arbitration by the company's tribunal only in respect of a relief of complaints in terms of the Act, to further provide for the operation and governance of companies' tribunal, to provide for a pronouncement that may be issued by the Financial Reporting Standard Council, and to provide for matters connected with. Honorable Chair, in terms of the process followed, it's similar to the one of the second amendment, and there were 29 stakeholders who participated in the public hearings. So these hearings were also on the 21st of February, and the responses were provided by the minister again on the 27th February, and this was followed by the department on the 5th and 12th of March on the submission. And therefore the outcome was 5 members of African National Congress voted in support of the bill, 2 members of the Democratic Alliance voted against the bill, and the committee agreed to the bill without amendments. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, honorable members, honorable delegate. Before we proceed to voting of the 5th order, I shall now allow political parties an opportunity to make their declaration of vote in terms of the Rule 78 if they so wish. The maximum is 3 minutes per declaration of vote. Okay. Other honorable members? I don't see any hands. Oh, honorable.
Yes, declaration.
Thank you, House Chair.
You will follow Honorable Tapel.
Honorable House Chair, this bill will open the door to more governmental interference in the ownership of companies. And the Companies Tribunal will have the authority to make BEE, for example, or triple BEE, for example, even more binding and compulsory. Now, House Chair, no bill should be adopted if it disregards the corporate legal personality of companies by unduly piercing the corporate veil. This bill will worsen the growing unease in directors and managers of companies that are keeping the economy of this country afloat. Honourable House Chair, this bill will only serve to compel investors to reconsider the future employment prospects in South Africa, and therefore the Freedom Front Plus rejects this bill. Thank you.
Honorable De Bruin, Honorable Tapping on visual.
Okay, thank you, House Chairperson. House Chairperson, it has been 15 years since the introduction of the Companies Act. It is indeed correct that things have improved in terms of various administration process. It is also true that the Companies Second Amendment Bill seeks to introduce an amendment that will go along the way in improving various administrative and policy issues identified in the review process. We agree that there is a need for more transparency in terms of the payment of director to cube the payment gap in most companies. It is not only the gender pay gap that we need to deal with, but it is also the racial gap. It is not a secret that the majority of companies continue to pay with directors and senior managers more than Africans. It is also not a secret that the majority of companies refuse to transform and their management level remains exclusively white spaces. We agree that there is a need for more transparency in terms of the shareholders of companies. We agree that the requirement to file an annual return with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, particularly the issue of the latest financial statements, is unnecessary for small business. But even the issue of paying 100 Rand for everyone's annual file must be scrubbed. In conclusion, Chairperson, there is a fair greater commission in the Companies Second Amendment Bill that is deliberately mischievous and will undermine all efforts to improve corporate governance, including financial accountability or fight grey listing. We must include in this amendment a non-negotiable requirement for companies to disclose all transactions between subject companies. But the Companies Amendment Bill is silent on this issue of anti-money launderers and terrorists in just one side of the problem. As EFF will reject this bill. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable members, thank you, honorable member, Honorable Taffin. The next speaker is Honorable Muyemang, and also honorable members, I would like to remind you that for declaration is one per party, not two per party. Thank you. Honorable Muyemang. Sorry to disturb you, Honorable Muyemang. Honorable members, please, can we always understand what we are doing?
Yes.
We are on the fifth order. So please, honorable member, it's one per party. One per party on the
Honorable House Chair, I'll then allow Honorable Dango to do the declaration, which will encapsulate both the first and the second. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thanks very much, honorable member. In that order, Honorable Dango.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It looks like there's confusion at the table. Maybe just to clarify, I'm on My declaration will be on the second amendment bill, which is number B26B of 2023.
Proceed, Honorable Dango.
Chairperson,
Sorry,
I'm doing
honorable
this.
members, you know what, you are confusing me. And I don't know why, always when I'm presiding, then you honorable members will confuse me. I think parties must learn to focus themselves than to come in the house and cause confusion and confuse myself. Please, we're all leaders here.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair, for giving me an opportunity. As I indicated, the declaration that I'm making is on the second amendment bill, which is bill number B26B of 2023. And my humble and sincere apology, Honorable House Chair, if there is any confusion that we might have created in the House. Honorable House Chair, allow me to borrow from the words of our President, the Commander-in-Chief, the face of the ANC campaign, His Excellency President Ramaphosa, who said at the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council's National Dialogue on
who also hides dollars under his mattress.
As follows, I
That
quote,
one.
I wait, listen.
Order. Corruption has wounded our democracy and shaken our people's faith in our institution. If corruption is not arrested, the greatest damage will not be in the funds stolen or the job lost or the services not delivered, but the greatest damage, Honorable House Chair, will be to the belief in democracy itself. For a very close quote, for a very long time, the act of corruption has been associated with malfeasance in government affairs only. However, the investigation into state capture exposed on a grand scale how government corruption is interlinked to that of a private sector, how the private sector corrupts government procurement processes. Corruption must also be understood as a global problem that impedes service delivery and perpetuates poverty, inequality, injustice, and unfairness. It is not just prevalent in the local context of South Africa and the African continent, but also in the global context and demands a global response. We have seen multinationals pleading guilty and also reimbursing our tax base. In 2017, the African National Congress, 54th National Congress, resolved to support the establishment of the Zondo Commission to investigate malfeasance that occurred within the state. We understood at the time that it was necessary to do so as part and parcel of our broader effort to end state capture and corruption, but also to ensure that we create the necessary base to have
Honorable Member, your time is over.
A free corrupt society. Honorable House Chair, we support the time bar as contained in section 162 and 3, and the two recommendations that were made by Zondo Commission is also supported. The ANC support the second amendment bill. Thank you, House Chair.
You only support what suits you with the commission. The ANC only supports.
Throw her out, House Chair.
Order, Honorable Mtsube. Honorable members, order. Will now allow 1 minute to the delegate who are outside the visual platform to join the House. 1 minute. I'm okay. Thanks very much. May close the door. Honorable members, we shall now proceed to the voting of the fifth order, consideration of the company's second amendment bill, B26B-2023. The question is that the bill be agreed to. Honorable delegate, now who vote in favor should please raise their hands. Please keep your hands raised.
Please note, Masonga voting in favor.
Thank you, honorable members.
We are voting from Geneva. Please.
Your hands. Those who are against, honorable members can raise their hands. Thanks very much, honorable members. You may lower your hands. Honorable members, those who abstain. Thanks, honorable members. The voting now is closed. And voting is now closed. The table will submit the results, and the results are as follows. In favor, 28. Against, 19. Abstain, 0. Thanks very much, honorable members. Honorable members, the bill is agreed to in terms of the section 75 of the Constitution. Now, honorable members, I would like to call for declaration for vote of the sixth order. Honorable delegate, before we proceed to voting on the sixth order, I shall now allow political parties an opportunity to make their declaration of vote in terms of the rules 78, if they so wish, and maximum it's 3 minutes per declaration of vote. Order.
Digital platforms are confused.
Chairperson, didn't you just do
Yes,
this?
honorable members, we shall now proceed to declaration. Yeah, I'm correct. Yeah. Any parties that wanted to make a declaration on the 6th order, please. 6th order. Right. Honorable members, I'll repeat again. We shall now proceed to the 6th order, and I shall allow the parties an opportunity to make their declaration on vote in terms of the Rule 78 if they so wish. The maximum is 3 minutes per declaration of vote. Order, honorable members.
With you.
Baba Tango.
I would yield, Chairperson. No other person is making a declaration. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tango. Okay, honorable members, we shall now proceed to the voting of the 6th order, consideration of the company's amendment bill B27B 2023, National Assembly, Section 75. The question is that the bill be agreed to. Delegates who vote in favor should please raise their hands, and please keep your hands raised. Thanks very much, honorable members. Please lower your hands. Those who are against can raise their hands.
I'm against Chair.
Thanks very much, honorable members. You may lower your hands. Those who abstain.
I'm against Chair.
Chair, Honorable Smith is against, just a note mine.
Thanks very much, honorable members. The bill is agreed to in terms of the Section 75 of the Constitution. Can I get the honorable members? Those in favor are 25 and against 17, and abstain, it's 0. 25. Honorable members, the bill is agreed to in terms of the Section 75 of the Constitution. Honorable delegate, we will now proceed to the 7th order, consideration of the review lower amendment bill B39B-2023, National Assembly Section 77, and report of the Select Committee on Finance, Tiero announcement, tabling and commitment report, 25 March 2024. And now, honorable members, call on Honorable M.L. Mama Rihane, member of the Select Committee on Finance to present the committee report. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson Mutompehi Mengwe. Honorable Chairperson, I hereby present the report on consideration of the Revenue Laws Amendment Bill B39B 2023, National Assembly, Section 77, and report of Select Committee on Finance thereon. Honorable Chairperson, the Revenue Laws Amendment Bill was tabled in Parliament on the 1st November 2023 with an intention to amend the Income Tax Act. The intention of our caring government with this bill is to create a two-pot system in where ordinary citizens can access their funds to cushion them from distress. The two-pot system will have a savings pocket in where citizens can withdraw from. This will start on the 1st September 2024. We're saying, considering the economic climate, citizens who qualify for this must take this opportunity and use it towards their development. Honorable Chairperson, as expected, we took this bill to the people in a way of public consultation. We must stress, however, a lot can still be done to make sure that Parliament attracts a lot of stakeholders to comment on bills such as this. Honorable Chairperson, the committee welcomes the new implementation date of 1st September 2024. Ideally, this should have been earlier. The committee knows National Treasury's response that while the draft legislation had a very ambitious implementation date, the changes that were required to be put into the system were substantial. These changes needed a lot of time, not only for the industry, but also to enable SARS to put in place measures to be able to implement the withdrawals. As the withdrawals are to be taxed of the marginal rate and will be a huge percentage of what is withdrawn, and is extremely likely that most of those who withdraw from their funds will be very disappointed and maybe even very frustrated. It is utterly important that National Treasury and SARS and the pension fund industry inform and educate members about the tax implication of assessing the savings in the two-pot system before retirement. The committee urges that this be done. SARS and National Treasury should monitor the tax implications and individuals and the state with a view to easing the tax burden on withdrawals made in terms of the two-pot system in future of the bill. Honorable Chairperson, having said that, as the Select Committee on Finance, having examined the Revenue Laws Amendment Bill, we accept that this bill as it is for consideration. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thanks very much, Honorable Member. Honorable members, I will now call for the declaration of vote. Honorable Delegate, before we proceed to voting, I shall now allow political parties an opportunity to make their declaration. of vote. In terms of Rule 78, if they so wish, maximum is 3 minutes per declaration of vote. In that order, honorable members. Honorable who? Okay. Honorable Muletsane.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the EFF engages this bill with a mixed feelings. First, we are pleased that this bill will provide some form of relief to the working class, and therefore we are supporting its processing into a law. But we are not pleased with the fundamental reasons that have put us here. For we are here because the 6th administration under Mr. Ramaphosa has destroyed the economy. We are faced with an economy which is not growing. As a result, workers are burdened with taxes while wages remain stagnant, while the cost of living increases drastically. When the EFF takes power after the 29th of May, this is what we will do as EFF.
Order, honorable members.
The EFF government will establish a state-owned asset management firm to manage all municipal pensions. The EFF government will consolidate all national, provincial, municipal, and state-owned companies' assets under one asset manager and create the biggest balance sheet in the country. The EFF government will consolidate all municipal pensions to be administered under the new state-owned company. The EFF government will amend the Pension Funds Act to increase investment in private equity for infrastructure development, small medium enterprises development, and land transformation. The EFF government will pass a special appropriation bill allocating 100 billion to the Sovereign Wealth Fund in the 2025-2026 budget. The EFF government will pass a special appropriation bill to write off some debts in state-owned companies and to convert the Public Investment Corporation debt to equity. The EFF is a government in waiting, and we urge all our people to go out and vote come the 29th of May.
Honorable
Thank
member.
you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Honorable Mletsan. Order. We will now allow a 1 minute to. Okay, sorry, Honorable Karim, you can
okay,
make
Chairperson.
your declaration.
Chairperson, I also feel very sorry because there's no need to respond to this. But now, you know, Mr. Moletsan has been so gracious and helpful in the processing of the bill that I don't know how much of what he says he believes in. Firstly, it's not even a speech relevant to this bill. They're desperately scraping the bottom of the barrel to bring in a whole lot of airy-fairy, pie in the sky, fantastic, fabulous stuff, right? Now, I don't know, you know, I got an E for maths in matric, which I'm proud of because I was expecting an F, okay? Now, Mr. Moletsane, I'm sure did better than me, but he must explain to this house one day, as must
play the game, not the man. Play the ball, not the man.
How is it possible, Chairperson?
Keep quiet, just sit down.
How is it possible to be
Order,
a
Mbali.
governing party
The
with
person
10%
take them out of the
the
meeting.
vote
Honorable.
and a maximum of 19% of the
Chair,
vote?
take
If you want to
Mbali out of the
govern,
meeting.
you
Order,
have to
Honorable
win
Mbali.
51% of the vote.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Moletane, you know that. Secondly, a lot of the things he says, they can't do. Even if in the year 2095, remotely, if possible, they came to power with a slight majority, if that were possible at all. And so it's just as much a dream as his dreams about what he's going to do. You see, it's very easy to say it because you know you're never going to be a majority. You know you're never going to win. So you can offer all these promises.
Speak to the
Well, you
bill,
know
sir.
what?
Speak
You
to
know
the
what?
bill. We don't have all
Go
day.
and
Speak to
join
the
the
bill.
party of the fantasists.
Don't address
People
individual
wait
members
and
of the
decide.
EFF. Speak to the
Right.
bill.
Throw Honorable Dlamini out.
COVID came about, Chairperson, not because of Mr. Ramaphosa, our president. It's because of the pandemic, which South Africa had nothing to do with. The main thrust for this bill is actually the cost, the effect of it. The one final point I want to say, Chairperson, is the DA and Mr. Moletsane's party and our party feel very strongly that to tax people who are going to draw on these savings because they're financially distressed, as high as South African Revenue Service is doing. Finally, in every 30,000 you withdraw, please educate people. 15.5 is all you'll get, because 14,500 is going to go to the tax person. We disapprove of that. We've asked the incoming committee to address it by engaging with SARS and National Treasury. Thank you very much. And Mr. Moletsane agrees with me.
Hence, some mixed feelings.
Thanks very much, honorable members. Order. We will now allow 1 minute to delegates who are outside and the visual platform to join the House. Makwala upi.
Siyaqhuba, Chair.
When Ansube, why do you always want me out of the meeting? You don't know I'm a member here. You don't know.
Thanks very much, honorable members. We may close the door. Order, honorable members. We now proceed to the voting on the question. And the question is that the bill be agreed to. Honorable delegate, those who say favor, who favor, yeah. Thanks very much, honorable members. You may lower your hands. Those who are against. Thanks very much. Those who are abstain. Order, honorable members. The counting is complete. Honorable members, now we are on the result. The voting is now closed. The table is submitting the results as follows. In favor, 45. Against 0. Abstain, 0. Honorable members, the bill is agreed to in terms of Section 75 of Constitution. Honorable members, I would like now to thank permanent delegate MECs and the special delegate and the SALCA representative for availing themselves for the sitting. Honorable delegate, that concludes the business of the day. The House is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
House Chairperson, and as
Thank
you
you,
always warm up the
Chairperson.
opposition benches. Thanks, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Delegate, KZN siyabonga. Thank you.
Thank you.